Hi guys, it's your girl Naja coming to you with my NICU experience and just some tips that I wanted to give you guys if you know you're gonna have a preterm baby, or if you experienced it like I did, where it was just like you were thrown into being a NICU parent to a preemie baby. I would like you to like, rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell if you want to see more videos from me. I am going to try and get on a new schedule where I at least post one video a week. But right now, let's get into this NICU experience. Nala was born at 23 weeks and 6 days. She was 1 pound 4 ounces, and she was born on June 2nd, 2016. She spent about 88 days in the NICU, so really did not go through that much in the NICU. And I say she didn't go through that much because there were babies worse off than she was, and I say that because they went through a lot more things than she did. I don't want to sit there and say she was a very sickly baby in the NICU, but she was sickly because she was in the NICU and she was born early, if you get what I'm saying. I always try to thank God and be humble for the experiences that she went through, because she did not go through some of the things that I've witnessed and seen some parents have to go through in the NICU. Biggest thing that she went through was surgery. And about a month into her being into the NICU, they found out that her heart murmur was not closing. They had gave her 2 rounds of medicine to try to close it. It was not closing, so she had to have surgery to close the little valve in her heart. And I don't know what the name of it is, but if I figure out what the name of it is, I will try to put it in the description bar. I'll put the name of it up around the video somewhere. And long story short, she was on the ventilator for about a week after she was born. She ended up pulling that tube out, and so when they decided to try her on what was called the CPAP machine. You probably have heard it for like sleep apnea, but in this case it was not for sleep apnea. It's to keep her lungs open and keep her breathing. So about a week after she was born, she went onto the CPAP machine. The ventilator pretty much makes you breathe all the time. The CPAP machine does help you breathe, but you are kind of breathing on your own when you go onto the CPAP machine. So maybe a month after that is when she had to go back on the CPAP machine. And she had to go back, not the CPAP machine, the ventilator. She had to go back on the ventilator because the valve that was not closing was leaking fluid into her lungs, which was making it very hard for her to breathe. And she got very congested and very, they had to pull mucus from her a lot out of her chest. So the surgery was not an open heart surgery, so it's not as major as an open heart surgery. They actually went through the back here. She has it's pretty big on her now, so it's about this size, about an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches incision. They put the clip on her heart, closed her back up, and after that, maybe like 5 days later, she ended up pulling the tube out the ventilator again. And they just ended up putting her back on the CPAP. Like, both times she just was like, I don't want this on me no more, so y'all gonna take this off of me. I don't need this. Everything after surgery, it was like everything just moved quickly. Like after that, maybe 2 weeks later, she was just on regular nasal cannula, and then after that, she went to room air. It was just crazy. Like, in a matter of like 4 weeks, pretty much after surgery, she was going home. Like, she actually went home a month earlier than what they expected her to go home. So she was born in June. Her expected due date wasn't until the end of September. So her expected due date was September 23rd. She was born on June 2nd. So that's 4 months early. She ended up staying in the hospital for about 3 months. So she came home August 28th, August 27th, one of those days. I don't exactly remember the date. But she came home a whole month earlier than what they said she would go home. She did come home on oxygen. They did. For the most part, my NICU experience was great. I had like 2 nurses that we got in arguments. Long story short, every day when I would come in, I would be there every day. I would come in and do her cares. Cares are every 3 hours, so we did it at like 3, 6, 9, and 12. This one particular care, we were taking off her CPAP hat to clean her nose and make sure she didn't have any bleeding or anything, because when they're on CPAP, it's like a cannula, but a really big cannula, and it kind of stretches their nose out, and it can make blood vessels, burst and stuff like that in the nose. And she was not my normal nurse that I had. The normal nurse that I had was gone on vacation or something, so I had her in place of it. But after this day, she didn't come back. And so she took the CPAP pad off, and I told her, I said, well, we usually give her blow-by, which is this tube that's just like wall air, that it's just blowing air into their face. And at this time, Nala could pretty much breathe, like, on her own. She just couldn't breathe on her own, if you get what I'm saying. So she said, no, we don't need that. We're going to see how she does without it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, she needs to blow by. Like, I do this every day with her. Like, I know you have other patients, and they might be able to be on just regular room air for maybe 5-10 minutes. She need blow by. I know what's going on. She was like, no, we're going to just see. And I'm like, Lord, please give me the strength not to just jump over this incubator and whoop this bitch ass, because if my baby do not get the oxygen she need, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. So she didn't do it. When I say within a matter of 2 minutes, Nala went from 100% oxygen to 0 oxygen. 0 oxygen, y'all. She was turning fucking blue. And the nerve of this lady to say, oh, you don't have any reserve, little one. What's wrong? Like, bitch, she was born at 23 weeks. Most of these babies that you dealing with on a day-to-day basis were born at like 25, 26, 27, all these weeks later. Her lungs are not that developed. The cutoff point for a baby to live is really 24 weeks, 26 weeks. Like, it's a miracle that she even surviving right now. You gonna tell me that she ain't need no blow-by? You gonna tell me she didn't need that oxygen in her face? So, of course, after that all day, Nala was struggling, going up and down, and they're like, well, what's wrong with her? Because the woman let my damn baby go to 0 oxygen. So after that, I walked out. Like, I made sure she was straight. I made sure she had her stuff back on her, because I was not gonna leave my baby alone with this crazy bitch that just let her go to damn 0 oxygen. So I walk out and I call Nala's daddy, and he was like, oh no, I'm coming. And so when he comes, he asked her what the issue was or whatever earlier, and she was trying to explain it away. And so he notices, like, after just sitting there, he notices that there's like liquid dripping out of the incubator, right? So we check, and this bitch ain't even hook up her damn feeding tube. Mind you, I was giving her breast milk, and in a situation like that, they always push you to breastfeed or pump or something, because when I say breast milk is liquid gold, like, that shit really is. That's no joke. Like, there's no formula out there made that could even come close to what breast milk does for your child. Like, no whole milk, no formula, no nothing can compare to what you can give your child from you. Like, and I knew that if I couldn't take care of her like a mom was supposed to take care of their child, I was gonna do that, period. Like, there was no question about it. Even when I was planning on what my after birth plan was gonna be, it was always gonna be breastfeeding. I was breastfed, my brother was breastfed, so I knew that I was gonna breastfeed her. So for her to be spilling my liquid gold, yo, he was blanking. Like, he just straight up asked her, said, so did you forget to hook up her feeding tube? And she was like, no, I didn't forget, I just didn't hook it up. He said, so you forgot? And she was like, no, I didn't forget, I just didn't hook it up. And he was like, either you telling me you just ain't want to hook it up, or you just negligent. Like, are you, do you, you know? And then she got real defensive. She was like, I've been doing this for 10 years and da. He said, so who sounds like the smart one here, me or you? You've been doing this for 10 years. And I've been a dad to a preemie. This is my first NICU experience ever. And I've been here for 2 months. And I even know how to hook up a feeding tube. I mean, they were in there like arguing. And I went to the head nurse and I told her, she gotta go. She cannot touch my baby ever again. I don't want her around my baby. I don't even want her near my child. Period. I don't want her near my child. Because once you become arrogant in a situation, like, it would have been better for her to just say, you know, you guys, I'm so sorry, I forgot to hook it up, or I thought I hooked it up, it might have came loose, you know, something. Instead of her arguing with us, she could have just solved the problem. But I guess where I come from, like, me, I was very lucky in how I produce breast milk. I mean, since I started pumping, I was making 4 to 8 ounces in both sides every 2 hours. Sometimes every hour. It got to the point where I was pumping every hour, 4 to 8 ounces. Like, that's a lot of milk, you know? Like, and sometimes it would be even more than that, just depending on what I ate or what I drank that day. So for her to be spilling it, what if I was a mom that only got 2 ounces every time I pumped? Or I was a mom that couldn't get any more breast milk to come, and that was my last breast milk. Like, you just wasted all of my efforts on the floor. Mind you, Nala was only drinking like 2 or 3 mLs at the time. 2 or 3 mLs, y'all. 2 or 3 mLs. Like, y'all need to go get y'all a little cup that you take medicine with, or you need to get you like a little syringe just to even see how much 3 mLs was. It was not even a lot, but she was getting it. You know what I'm saying? So for you to just be negligent and have an attitude with us about what you did to our child, girl, let's say she was done for. Okay, she was done for. So that was like my top experience of something being bad or wrong in the NICU. Other than that, the other nurses were great. They always worked with us. The doctors worked with us. The nurse practitioners worked with us. Like, they pretty much let us make a lot of the decisions alongside with them. You know, they would give us an opinion, and we would say, if we had questions or we were concerned about anything, they will always work with us. They will always make sure we were in the loop. You know, if we weren't there, they were calling us. You know, they never did anything without us. And I really appreciate that, because the first tip I want to give you guys is that you have to be your child's advocate. That's the number one rule in the NICU, is be your child's advocate. You need to, like, your baby is in a position where they can't tell nobody nothing. Advice to you as a NICU parent is try to have you in a support system. Like, if it's not family, if it's not friends, at least you have resources at the hospital. You have resources around you. You just have to go to them. Never feel like you are too good for a resource. Resources are there to help you. That's one thing that me and Kevin never got big-headed about, is a resource. Like, if we needed to talk to somebody, we went straight to that person. You know what I'm saying? If me and Kevin needed something, we went and got it done. Like, I never procrastinated on anything with her. And I just shout out to the Children Living Hospital, because they had some great resources. Like, they had social workers on site, they have nurses on site, they have doctors on site. Like, any question you have, you can figure it out. They'll figure it out for you. So advice is one of the important ones as well. So these are my top 3, is give your baby love. Love is 99% of care. over me. I didn't want her to know any nurses. I didn't want her to know any doctors. I didn't want anybody to be known over her parents, me and her dad. I didn't want anybody to know that, because she's coming home to me. She's not staying at the hospital. She's not going home with these nurses. She's coming home to me. So I would make sure she had blankets. And when she started wearing clothes, I made sure she had clothes and socks and hats and things that smelled like home, that reminded her of her parents. Like, sometimes we would sleep with the blankets in the bed with us, just to make sure that she gets that smell of us, you know. And at my hospital, they allow you to bring in blankets and clothes and things that you pre-wash at home that are sanitized, you know. So if your hospital allows you to do that for your child. Like, even if you have to wash the same set of clothes over and over and over, do that, because that's going to get them a good sense of being home. Another thing was, I tried to be at every single care I was trying to be at, except the ones in the middle of the night, the ones that was at like 12, 3, and 6 a.m. Your girl was asleep. I knew them nurses had her at night. I made sure I had the ones that I liked, the ones that took care of her the best. Made sure I had those nurses if they were there. So, trying to be there as much as possible. Okay. Take some time out for yourself. Like, if you are a NICU mom or a NICU dad, or you're a NICU parent, take some time out for yourself. Like, you need that time to relax and rest. You need that time for a mental breakdown, a mental break. You don't want to break down and be so weathered down and tired all the time that you can't be the support system for your child that you need to be. Like, at first, that first month and a half, every day, and I could tell that it was breaking me down. So when it came to lunchtime after 12 o'clock, there was a 3-hour window between 12 and 3 where I could just do whatever, because her cares weren't until 3 o'clock. So I would go, and in that hospital, they had like a computer room, a library, and they would have like a massage lady come, and it was free. You could tip her if you wanted to, but it was free. They had movies, they had books, they had a little playground thing. You know, you could walk around the facilities. Like, just do something for you to take a mental break, because sometimes that stress just gets so overwhelming, because you're like, I just want my child home. Like, I want to be okay. I don't want to be in this position anymore. You know, parents in the NICU, don't let that stress eat up your relationship. Like, honestly, having a child, if this is your first child, my mom told me and KJ before we had Nala, you know, when we first found out we were pregnant, this can make or break a relationship, which is very true. So you have to be there for each other. You have to listen to each other. You can't just be one-sided in a situation and always feel like your opinion is higher or greater, or your problem is greater at that time than the person you're with. You know what I'm saying? And I just am very appreciative of KJ, and I'm very lucky to have KJ, because he's an amazing guy. Like, most guys, I feel like we're running a situation like that, especially us being so young. I was 21 and he's 22, or he was 22 at the time, which was just last year. It's not like we're much older now, but I feel like we both grew together. Like, we went from kids to being adults that quick. Like, that shit changes you when you go through stress and an experience like that. So be there for each other. Like, don't just feel like how you feel in your situation is greater than the person you're with, because at the end of the day, y'all are in this together. Y'all made a child together. You have to stick together in a situation like that. You can't just go apart, because then both of your stress loads are 10 times worse than what it would be if y'all just came together and listened to each other. You know, every night we would talk and make sure we got out everything that we needed to get out. If it was something about Nala, or if it was something that I did or something that he did, we made sure we communicated on that level, because we was already going through a stressful situation. We didn't need extra stress on top of it. So just be there for each other, and listen to each other. So I mean, that kind of sums up my NICU experience. Like I said, there was really nothing in the NICU that was bad that I experienced. It was all great. I love my hospital. Like, I love that hospital, y'all. Big shout out to Children Ravine. Like, if I ever had another preemie, that's where I'm gonna be at. Like, my new OBGYN is connected to the hospital. Like, I'm not playing around. Like, y'all. So my big surprise is that Nyla is gonna be a big sister come January, hopefully. I will be doing my experience with this high-risk pregnancy, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys, and have a good day.